Welcome back guys! Today we're talking about the first half banner of version 6.3, Columbina Ineffa with Fischl, Ineffa and Sethos, as the featured 4 stars. We also take a quick look at weapon banner. Let's start. Columbina is one of the most awaited characters in a long time. Her gameplay is very focused on her lunar reactions, so she can feel a bit restrictive if you don't want to play around them. On the other hand, that focus is exactly why she shines with not-cry DPS, like Nefer for Lunar Bloom, Plinth for Lunar Charged, and Zibai for Lunar Crystallize. Quick note, in the second half of 6.3 we should also get Zibai and the new Villette, with Zibai centered around Lunar Crystallize. If you want the next banner breakdown too, subscribe so you don't miss it. So what does Columbina do? She's a 5-star Hydro Catalyst. Her main role is off-field sub-DPS that enables and buffs lunar reaction. Her skill summons Gravity Ripple, an AoE that follows your active character and keep applying Hydro. While it's active when your team triggers lunar reactions or deals lunar reaction damage, Columbina builds gravity stacks. At max stacks she triggers Kuvak interference, and the effect changes depending on which lunar reaction you charged the most. Lunar Charged, Lunar Bloom, or Lunar Crystallize. Her burst creates a lunar domain that buffs lunar reaction damage for the whole team while you fight inside in. The biggest part of her kit is the conversion. She turns Electro Charged, Bloom, and Hydro Crystallize into their lunar versions. Then she boosts lunar reaction based damage based on her HP. With a cap, you basically reach at around 35k HP. Now on field Columbina. By default, you play her off-field, but when your team triggers Lunar Bloom, you generate Verdant Dew. With at least one Dew, her charged attack becomes Moon Dew Cleanse. It costs no stamina, consumes one Dew, and deals damage counted as Lunar Bloom. That's the core of her on-field option. Still, if you want her as a real main DPS, Llama is the big enabler, and Llama C2 makes it even better. The same idea applies to investment. Early cons and their signature weapon matter more if you're actually playing her on field. They're not wasted off field, but the personal damage boost is simply more noticeable when she's your main DPS. What if you don't have a not-cry DPS? The safest score is still Columbina plus Ineffa. Ineffa wants steady Hydro to keep Lunar Charged going, and Columbina gives you off-field Hydro plus Lunar buffs. So the duo is strong and flexible. You can pair them with many popular carries, and use the last slot for support. If you remove Ineffa and run Columbina in more standard teams, like Vape or Freeze, she can still be a solid off-field Hydro unit. But you lose a big part of her lunar value. She's still good, you're just not using her full kit, which is a bit of missed opportunity. Ineffa is a 5-star Electro Polearm. With her on the team, Electro Charged becomes Lunar Charged, so she wants steady Hydro plus Electro uptime. She is mainly an off-field sub-DPS with 3 big tools: a shield, consistent off-field Electro, and extra Lunar Charged damage. Her skill is the core: 1 AoE Electro hit, an optical flow shield, and a summon called Brigitte. The shield and Brigitte last 20 seconds, so she fits cleanly into normal rotations. And Brigitte attacks every 2 seconds to keep electro application steady. A big part of her damage comes from her A1 passive. If Lunar Charged thunderclouds are present, Brigitte's attacks also trigger an extra AoE hit counted as Lunar Charged damage, scaling with Ineffa's attack. Her burst is mostly upkeep. It hits and refreshes Brigitte, so your rotation stays smooth. Attack is her most important stat because she buffs the reaction directly. Her Moonsign Benediction increases Lunar Charged based damage based on her attack, and she also increases team's Moonsign level by 1. After burst, she gives an elemental mastery buff to herself and the active character for 20 seconds, also based on her attack. Overall, Ineffa is a very strong pick if you want a stable Lunar Charged core. If you care about constellations, C1 is the main team value upgrade. After C1, it's mostly personal damage or convenience. Quickly on the 4 stars. Fischl is the big one. She's been meta since early days, and she's still one of the best of field electro units. Skill and burst summon Oz for consistent damage and application, and C6 is the huge upgrade for uptime and coordinated attacks. Since 6.2, the X-ray buff also made her better. With 2 X-ray characters, Oz gives your team extra buffs after overloaded and after electro charged or lunar charged. Aoife is a comfy animo driver, who also heals while on field. He can fit as a driver for Columbina plus Ineffa teams, but his grouping is lighter than dedicated animo supports. Sethos is an on-field electro DPS with 2 styles, a burst stance for fast electro normal attacks, or a charged shot style that spend energy. He is fine if you like him, but is not the main reason to pull. Now the weapon banner kept short. Columbina signature, Nocturne's Curtain Call, gives a ton of crit damage, HP, and a flat energy refund. It's mostly personal damage, so it does the most value if Columbina is your own field DPS, and it scales better with her C2. At C0 or as a sub DPS, Prototype Ember is a great comfort option, because it gives HP, energy and healing. Revonius Codex is also very comfy, especially in Stygian, because it helps energy and makes rotation smoother. Ineffa's signature, Fractured Halo, is the best weapon on this banner. It gives crit damage, plus lunar charged damage and attack, so it's a strong upgrade for her and for the team. The featured 4-star weapons are mostly underwhelming. I'm not going to spend time on them, because they're not the reason to pull. So, who should you pull? First rule, if you like that unit, pull. But for value, if you don't have an outcry DPS, Ineffa is the best pick for most accounts. Columbina is at her best with Lunar focused team. And if you want on-field Columbina, make sure you have Lauma. I hope this helped. If you have some questions, leave a comment and I'll reply. And if you care about endgame, I also post runs like Stygian Dire, Abyss and Theater. So please like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. See you guys!